All right, guys, welcome back. We are watching Chainsaw Man Season 1, Episode 5. Last time, we finished our rescue mission for Meowie and Power, of course. We killed the Bat Devil, killed the Leech Devil, which was, like, horrifying. um, had to cover for Power, all that, and she's living here at Hayakawa's place now. And Power is going to fulfill Dingy's wish, which is a very curious thing, right? Because, like, if you think about it, when he decided on this wish in the first place, it was kind of just something his mind jumped to. When he was thinking, like, oh, my life's so perfect now, all of that. And now, so he's going to fulfill this. Not sure how satisfied he's going to be with it. Who knows? Maybe we'll see. We'll see. And then what is he going to do after? I guess that's the question, right? So I don't know. I guess we'll see. I'm very curious where this is going to go with like Dingy's attitude towards all of this, that kind of thing. Who knows? I guess we'll see. So we're watching episode 5. You can line your own copy up with this if you want to. We are starting in 3, 2, 1. She's waiting. Come on. She's gonna pass out. Let me make sure I have the right subs on real quick. There we go. Okay. Okay. Oh, God. And she's gonna be weird about it. Like, yeah, what are you thinking? What is happening? Ah. Sure, sure. Okay, 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 okay. All right, come on, come on. It'll be big. All right. Surely crazy things will happen. Like, come on, right? Isn't this like life changing? Yeah. I wonder, did it? Like, what did he get from that? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I wonder. I wonder. Interesting. What do you want to say? Interesting. Like, if this really was deeply connected to some actual emotional reason, yeah, he certainly didn't get that, right? Exactly, exactly, right? Yeah, 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 yeah. Because it's like the important thing behind where this desire comes from for him was always like a deeper emotional reason, right? Like the relationship that is like could be representative of it, what he desires. I just don't know if he even understands that, right? And the question is it's like, okay, so doing that wasn't very satisfying for him. So will he make the jump to be able to understand that what he really desires is like the emotional connection and not just touching her boobs? Or will he have like a worse conclusion and think, oh, this is actually just unsatisfying and I don't want it at all? I don't know. I don't know. Because it's the first thing. It's the first thing so far now that he's like unhappy with his new life now, right? Because he was saying his life is so great and perfect now. All of this, it's just been uphill since episode 1, essentially, right? Unless you want to say, of course, his situation with Makima is pretty bad. He just doesn't know it. Um, so I don't know. I don't know. I'm very curious what his reaction will be. Man, I wonder what that door is. All right. Oh God. Oh God. He is not taking it well, huh? I hope he's not getting the bad conclusion. So whoa. Hmm. Yeah, like I don't know. I wonder. I wonder what's going through his head. She's still your friend, right? She's still your buddy. Isn't that what you really want? I maybe, right? Ooh. Okay. Signing a bunch of papers, huh? Denji, we really need to get a grip, for real. Like, what is Makima thinking? That's not it. Hmm. And it's interesting. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, what if you're just unsatisfied again? Yeah, what if it's just not interesting? Yeah, yeah. Like, literally. Okay, we're gonna be very explicit with it, huh? Oh God. Oh no. Oh no. Makima. I don't disagree, and I don't think that's representative of your relationship, though. I think he's closer to power than he's closer to you. Hmm. So I have to wonder. Oh God, he's gonna lose his mind. It's like she's trying to reinforce that attitude, you know? Yeah, like the bad attitude he has towards this, you know what I mean? Because he doesn't have like a real emotional relationship with Makima, right? I guess the question is just why. Man, I still. Okay, all right, all right, all right, all right. Uh huh, uh huh, uh huh. I guess at the same time, we also have to ask, why does he feel like he got so much more out of that than with power, right? I almost wonder, well, we just don't have time to talk about it. Wow. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Right, right, right. Yeah, yeah. It really is. It's just about, like, controlling him, you know? She knows what she's doing, obviously, you know? The gun devil. That sounds like a very powerful devil to me. Why are his shoes so big? Yeah. Okay. I suppose. Is he? Oh, God. He doesn't know what his wishes are. That's the problem. Yeah. Hmm. It's almost like. What's he gonna say? I. Uh huh. That is what she said. That is what she said. Yes, yes, correct. Whatever it may be, of course, of course. Hmm. Interesting. It's like she's trying to keep him stuck thinking about things in that way, you know? Mm-hmm. I guess the question is why. It makes him easier to control, I suppose, right? There's a lot of those, frankly. Hmm. Is this Hayakawa's family? Is this a flashback? I might just be crazy. No, it is. Okay. Oh no. Oh no. This isn't gonna end well, is it? Sure, sure. Very pretty. Hmm. So white. So white and blank like this. Just like his apartment out on the balcony. He's gonna think it's a game. Yeah. You're playing along. Come on. His attitude is interesting. Ooh. I love how they do that, like the red coloring on the hands, because how cold it is. I wonder if he has some kind of like autoimmune disorder or something. They're so worried about him just like catching a cold, you know? Maybe that's too far, right? I'm just saying, like a weak immune system, something like that, you know? I'm terrified about what is going to happen. Oh, God. Oh, yeah, okay, all right, that's. Sure. Killed 1.2 million people. Okay, right. Yeah, no kidding. Oh, and that makes them even stronger, right? Yeah. Hmm. In that sense, Dingy occupies an interesting place as a devil, doesn't he? Makes sense. We do similar things with things like that in like real life, right? Maybe. Yeah, you can do anything for your wish, right? Okay, okay. We don't even know where it is. No idea, probably. Ooh. Okay. So it's essentially a bullet itself. Yeah. Ah, gains a fraction of the Gun Devil's power. So does she want, yeah. Interesting. Okay. Oh God. Interesting. What was her name again? Himino, I think? A good question, I suppose. Who would want to do that, though? Kill all devils. Yeah. Man. So the gun devil for him is certainly. Yeah, that's. It's not like his quest for revenge would be over, I imagine, but still. Okay, okay. Oh, will it, Okay, okay. Familiar faces other than that guy in the back, right? I don't think we've seen him before. Yeah, that thing. We'll, like, try and go towards the other piece, yeah. So you can kind of always do that to like find more. Yeah, I'm sure it would be like flying towards it. God, Denji's attitude has to be so infuriating for Hayakawa. Oh my god. Why does Denji do this? I. Yeah, yeah, yeah. They are literally like they're his pets. Like he has to train them. Surely we can. Come on. Hmm. Sure. Well, you guys are acting like animals. So, okay. Well, I don't know about that. God, these two. What did they do? Whoa. Sure, I suppose. Give me a reward. Sure. You know what? That's big. All right. That's good enough. That's that big of a deal? Okay. What are you talking about? God, I love them. Ooh, interesting. Yeah. Ooh, okay. Interesting. Thinks about Makima. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah, it's like Makima's really making him focus on her, huh? I sure. I think I that isn't with Makima though, right? Interesting. God, that was a very long noise. Whoa. Yeah, how tempting, huh? Interesting. Okay. Yeah, yeah. I guess that's about right, huh? Girl, you need to calm down. He's just speed walking. Of course, yeah. You deserve the kiss. I'm sure. I'm sure. I Power has to get in there, of course, naturally. I bet she does. Arai. Kobeni, okay. Yeah, she seems very shy, very nervous. Harder to perform well when you're that nervous at anything. Yeah, I'm sure being a devil hunter doesn't last very long. I'm sure he won't. That would really suck if he died to the same devil that killed his whole family. God, the a million people who died. Yeah. Ah. Ooh. How she got her injury. Interesting. Both such damaged people by this. Oh. Oh. Or is that her partner? Yeah. Huh. I assumed that was like a graveyard for the people that Gun Devil had killed because it was so big, but I guess devils always kill a lot of people, huh? She like believes in him so much now, you know? Her attitude's so different. It's coming. It's gonna be something tiny. Yeah, like, all right. I guess that's pretty terrifying. What are we gonna do against that thing? It's gonna start bouncing around the room and being crazy. Like, what are we gonna do? So I do something. Okay. She has telekinesis already. I know that surely can't be it, right? That's something, but that can't be it. Girl, you gotta do something. You're a devil hunter. Yeah, that must be it. That must be it. Ooh, the ghost devil. Ah, I see. I see. The ghost devil. That is interesting. Can't be that one. Yeah. Hmm. The ghost devil. Her, when she's faced so much loss like that, seems so affected by it. Her having a contract with the ghost devil is interesting. Okay, all right. Your trump card, sure. Oh, okay. You would do that, I guess. Jesus. That's what it looks like, huh? Yeah. Mm-hmm. Man. The ghost devil has to be pretty strong, right? You would think. Of course. Naturally. Naturally. Oh. Hmm? What's going on? Yeah. Yeah. Is that the blood from the devil we just killed? Yeah. So it's like we're stuck. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. We're looping, perhaps. Okay. He's just gonna go right back to the same floor. Oh my god. Yeah. Yeah. Oh no. Oh no. What do we do? What would cause this? The maze demon? Girl, calm down. Huh. Interesting. That was a good episode. That was a good episode. I love Denji so much. Really, he is a. It's refreshing almost having a character like him. Um, because I feel like there's no self deception going on with his motivations. It's more so him just not understanding himself very well, and that's a good change of pace considering a lot of shows we've been in. You know, but I think even everyone engages in some level of deception like that. Oh my god. Oh, that painting there. Oh, Makima, huh? Her eyes, yeah. Ooh, God. Endless staircase. I might be looping, huh? Yeah, 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 yeah. Interesting. A way to escape. I can't help but feel like this whole escaping business and being stuck in this place might have more thematic meaning than the immediate situation they're in, right? Like, Denji's kind of stuck in a couple senses, right? Anyway, we will talk about the episode in the discussion. Okay, let's talk about the episode. That was a good one. Lots of stuff to talk about, as always. Denji has kind of fulfilled his wish. It didn't really go the way he thought it would. He was kind of questioning that. And then Makima certainly, man, what Makima did here is very interesting, huh? That's kind of the standout of this episode, I suppose. But to start with, I suppose, he finally got to touch Power's boobs, which is very, awesome, very great. I think, so, I mean, I've been saying this for a while, since, like, this was his goal since the beginning, essentially, with Power especially. I believe the important thing to him was never actually touching boobs. I don't think that was ever the thing that in his mind was actually what he wanted so badly. And I think that's why he doesn't get very much out of this, right? What happens with Makima, we got to think about that more. But with this, that makes sense to me, right? He touches her boobs, he's like, oh, is that it? I didn't really, like, he just feels nothing about it, Because again, ever since episode 1, what it came back to was he wanted, like, an actual emotional relationship with a person, He was thinking about, like, playing video games and hanging out with a girlfriend, And this isn't that, This is even worse than that in a way. Like, Power repeatedly saying, oh, you have 2 squeezes left, you have 1 squeeze left, It's like we are taking this relationship between these characters and, like, quantifying it into this stupid thing of, oh, because you did this for me, you can do this now, Which, again, that's just not what Denji wants, The question, of course, is whether Denji knows that's not what he wants. No, that's a weird way to say it, right? Whether or not Denji is, like, aware that he also craves the emotional connection and he thought he was going to get more out of this than he did, or if he's genuinely just unaware that that emotional connection is what he's, like, really craving, And I really think it's the latter here, I think that's part of why Makima's approach, like, works on him. Because if you think about it, the stuff that Makima says to him, it's kind of true in the sense of, like, yeah, I think he would enjoy a relationship with someone more if he was, like, emotionally connected to them. And then Makima does a bunch of stuff that has nothing to do with emotional connection, right? It isn't like that at all, Especially his relationship with Makima is nothing like his relationship with Power, right? Him and Power are like 2 little goobers. They're like best friends now, right? They're off in the corner snickering and acting like animals all the time, which is very different than his relationship with Makima, So I guess that raises an interesting question, right? Because you would think then, so okay, if he does have this deeper relationship with Power, then why does he not enjoy touching her boobs, right? And I think it just has to go with his mindset and with the situation here, right? With, like, the context in which he's actually doing it, This isn't like a, romantic moment of any kind. This really has no bearing on their actual relationship. It has nothing to do with Power's feelings or Denji's feelings beyond just wanting to touch her boobs, right? It's entirely just a emotionally blank moment where he gets to touch her and that's it, So I think that's why, despite that emotional connection he does have with her, which is definitely more significant than Makima, that he doesn't feel anything here, right? I think Makima uses some pretty good tricks to get him real excited, I suppose. We'll talk about more why I think he had a different reaction to her, I guess. So yeah, if anything, I think in this case, the emotional connection and the emotional attachment he has with Power is actually getting in the way of him being able to enjoy this, right? It's hard, it's pretty much impossible, I think, at this point, for him to view Power as essentially like an object for him to fulfill his wish with, like he was at first a few episodes ago, because he views her as a person now. He has this actual connection to her. So now it's like, not only will he not enjoy this, he probably, it's like awkward and weird, Like in his point of view, I think, like, he would dislike doing this, I imagine, Like, not only at the end of this does he think, like, oh, was that it? I imagine, like, especially with his reaction afterward, I think it was, like, he would have rather not done it. You know what I mean? I don't know if he's that far along, you know. But I hope you understand what I mean, right? Like, and then he gets one more. Oh boy. Lucky him. You did save Miaoi after all. Now I have no need to continue being a devil hunter, but I cannot get away from Makima either. Yeah. Hmm. And it's like, it's so disappointing, you know, the way that like this meaningful connection between them could almost just be boiled down to that moment, right? And because of like the way Denji was acting about it, you know? And Denji doesn't want that. Obviously, right? It didn't actually ruin their friendship at all, right? I just think it's definitely that's why Denji has such a dislike for this moment, honestly, you know. I mean also, I mean there's obviously the stuff about him fulfilling his wish now, what he imagined he really wanted, and it being unsatisfying, it not being like what he thought it would be like, right? Was that it? Exactly, exactly. Because I guess it's like the question is, right? God, he's like he's shell shocked. It's over for him, right? Because this is the first thing that he has experienced since his like new life has started, since the end of episode 1, that is like truly like negative in this way, right? He thought he was climbing this ladder, right, where his life got so much better. He's like, okay, I need a new wish now. I want to go touch some boobs. That's what I'm gonna do. And he thought this was gonna be a great thing. It's gonna his life is gonna go up to the next level, you know. And instead it was not what he wanted at all. Right? It's the opposite of that. It was awkward and weird and unsatisfying and, you know, just not great, right? So the mentality I think he really gets into here is like it was it wasn't really hard for him to decide on this wish, right? This wish, if anything, this wish was something he didn't really put any thought into at all, right? He like introspection of that kind is something I think is pretty hard for Denji because he just hasn't had that much experience with like what he actually wants and desires, you know. So this is just something he decided, like in the moment, right after thinking about how great his life was now, that he needs to go touch boobs now, right? Um, and he's fulfilled it now, and he thinks that's what he really wanted, and it was so like not good that it's just like, okay, what do I do if I just think of another wish? It's what if it's just, you know, what if I get nothing from it, you know? What if me chasing my new wish will just be wasted and fruitless yet again, you know? um there are some points you can make, right? He's wrong on several fronts here, right? There are several points you can make. One, right, like a goal that you have in mind, but upon fulfilling that goal, no matter what the outcome is, that doesn't mean all the time that you spent up until then was absolutely completely wasted just because that goal is what was pushing you forward, right? Um, like Denji has been enjoying his life more, right? He has been enjoying having a friendship with Power, for example. He has had a lot of meaningful things happen to him between now and when he decided on this goal. And that doesn't mean all of those things are useless just because him fulfilling this goal wasn't as fulfilling as he thought it would be, right? Um, and also, like, just because this goal was unsatisfying, that doesn't mean all goals will be like that, right? I think the thing that he should think about that he just doesn't at all is like, maybe this goal just wasn't something I actually really wanted, right? Is like him. What he should be thinking is wondering what he really wants and what he actually desires with his life, right? I was about to say with his freedom, but he still isn't free. Not when Makima's around. That's for sure. God, and he is a husk, huh? And Power's trying to talk to him. It's interesting, right? It really shows how it's like this is like a weird like thing in their relationship now. That it's just for Denji, it's just like I like Power's really trying to talk to him. She's so you know, for her, I guess she's not really bothered by it, right? Because it never really meant that much to her, and I don't think she knew how much it meant to Denji, right? She's just his buddy still, you know. But it's just this weird thing in between them and their relationship now, right? Like it's worse than it was before, just because of Denji's attitude, if nothing else, you know. It's like he's further away from the actual goal he wanted ever since episode 1, right? The idea of like having an emotional, real attachment with someone, you know. Because it's interesting, right? Because he's talked about how he's never had any friends, right? And it's like well, what's power, right? Power is your actual real first friend in a way now, right? But it's like he hasn't really thought about that. He's just I can't help but wonder if it is because for him, power is someone who he's like attracted to, or at least he's attracted to women, and power is a woman. So I just can't help but wonder if in his mind he just automatically thinks that that's just like a different category, right? That he has to pursue power in that way, right? The same way he views Makima like that, right? Obviously, Makima uses that knowingly, knowing that Denji views her in that way, right? So Denji got to sign a whole bunch of papers. This is a permit for use of a devil's corpse. Ministry of Transportation, blah, blah, blah. He's got to stamp a whole bunch of stuff. And Makima really, I don't know, she really wants to be his therapist here. That's for sure. She really has some interest in continuing to control Denji, right? Something I thought about in this episode, which I have no idea if this means anything, but it's interesting to me, is when we're talking about the Gun Devil in a moment here, we talk about how devils get stronger the more that they are feared. So when the Gun Devil killed 1,000,000 people, that really increased the fear of devils a lot. So then devils got even stronger, right? And that seems like something that devils would be like interested in doing, right? The more rampage and carnage they commit, the stronger they become because things are more afraid of them, right? Denji occupies an interesting space in that dynamic because what was he doing like when he fought the Bat Devil, right? People could see he was a devil because he had chainsaws sticking out of him and shit, right? But yet he was saving people, right? There were people who were had gratitude towards him and that kind of thing, right? The opposite of fear, And it's like, so if there are devils like Denji out there acting the way he does that mean devils everywhere essentially get weaker, right? Because if through whatever small way that Denji ever possibly could impact just the general society view of devils through his actions and just being a good guy who also happens to be a devil, right? You would think that like larger societal impact of just slight changes at the way devils are viewed because of Denji's actions would weaken all devils like everywhere over time, right? Just continuing on, if Denji continues acting the way he is and continues doing stuff, and it just depends how the story goes, right? But that's just an interesting thing to think about, right? How Denji, in a sense, is like doing that in some way, Maybe, of course, maybe it's a moot point because maybe it would be impossible for Denji to ever have enough impact to outdo or even have any impact at all on the amount of harm that devils do, and that contributing to like increased societal fear of devils, right? But if it's not impossible, and if he does have any amount of effect on it at all, then that's interesting. I wonder if that has something to do with why Makima is so interested in him, right? A devil that's like still a person like him, Because like there's power, right? And power is not like a terrible person, right? Of course. She's fine. Like that sounds mean. But like, you know what I mean? She isn't like the same as Denji, right? Denji's kind of like a sweetheart in a way, Like he wants to help people, he wants to save people. That's that's just how he is, right? Like just think about his reaction to power, right? And what she did to him with the Bat Devil, He's really is just kind of a sweet person in general, a very like emotionally understanding person, right? Power isn't really the same. She wouldn't have the same impact, I think, on like society's view of devils because she is scary. When she ran and killed the eggplant demon? No, the sea cucumber demon, I think. When she went in there and destroyed it, I don't think there was anyone who was like, oh, I'm less afraid of devils now because that crazy blood fiend went in there and destroyed it with a hammer, But with Denji saving people, kinda. Anyway, the completely off topic. I mean, kinda, I just wanted to talk about that. I finally managed to get something I've been chasing for most of my life. It's interesting he says it like that he's been chasing it for most of his life. It really just shows that he does have a deep misunderstanding of himself and his goals, right? Because this isn't what he's been chasing for most of his life, and he didn't get it, right? He really thinks that touching boobs is the same as like forming an emotional connection with someone, having a girlfriend, like the things he was like agonizing over not having in episode 1, because it's not, right? And like the fact that he says he's been chasing it for most of his life means he is equating those things. He thinks what he was chasing here and what he got is the same thing as that, Because he's only been, like, this boobs thing, he's only been chasing for a few days, you know? Once I had it in my hands, I was like, is that it? It wasn't as big of a deal as I thought it'd be. So if I start chasing something else, the moment I get it, would I just feel like I'd been happier while chasing it than having it again? Is it all just a pile of bullshit? So I wonder what Makima's reaction to this is, right? Denji's getting into a very doomer mindset, a very, like, nihilistic, like, oh, it's gonna be, what's the point in anything if fulfilling my goals doesn't make me happy? Which, like, yeah, I mean, that's kind of like depression and, like, yeah, like, it's such a stupid thing. It seems so stupid. Right? Because Denji's talking about touching boobs, right? But it's very understandable, right? If you were in Denji's shoes, I think you would understand it as well, right? Like, just this idea that it's this thing that he truly thought was going to be so meaningful for him, and then it just wasn't at all, right? Him having this kind of reaction, I think it makes complete sense, Him just having this just moment where he's thinking about, like, what am I even doing, Is there anything even more for me to chase in life, And so Makima, I wonder what she thinks about that, right? Like, obviously, in a sense, this is kind of an existential threat to, like, Denji, right? Like, if Denji's mentality doesn't improve, that's gonna be really bad, right? It's gonna be hard to keep him being around as a devil hunter and fulfilling whatever she wants him to do, if he thinks of things like this, right? So, of course, she wants to get him off this train of thought, right? She wants to get him locked back in and not think like this, right? She immediately hears that this was his goal, right? To squeeze boobs. And she has a plan for it right away. She reacts very quickly. She knows exactly what to do to get his mind back in the game, I suppose, right? She's very clearly, I mean, ever since we first saw her, really, in, like, episode 2, I guess. Not really more so at the end of episode 1. I mean, kinda. He, like, thought she was pretty, I guess. She has very knowingly used the fact that Denji is very attracted to her and, like, views her in, like, this, he, like, idolizes her and all of this, She's very knowingly used that to, like, manipulate him and, like, keep him, like, trapped, right? He doesn't really question his position here in all of this because his infatuation with Makima and, like, more so after this when she says that she'll grant him any wish at all if he does what she wants, he's really getting buried deeper into, like, her web, almost, it feels, If you ask me, eroticism like that gets more pleasant the closer you are to the other person. So it's like, it seems like what she's saying here is, like, true, right? Like, I agree, right? It's the emotional connection that, like, matters, right? It's deeper than that, right? Like, what happened with Power wasn't meaningful because that emotional connection had no part of it, right? It was like a trade deal, right? It had nothing to do with anything, So I agree with her in the sense of that emotional connection with the other person is important and will make you enjoy a relationship more like that. Only if it's not like that kind of circumstance he had with Power, right? Which is, like, immediately, it like makes you think, how does this impact, like, Denji's thoughts about Power, right? Because there's no way Denji is going to be able to reach that same conclusion that I am, right? Denji doesn't understand these things, So what is he going to think about his relationship with Power from now on, Does he somehow think after this that he's closer with Makima than he is with Power? Because that's not true, right? I don't know. I wonder. But she says that, and then she immediately, it's hard to understand what's in someone else's heart. Try observing their hands to start with. She immediately just does all of this, like, physical stuff with Denji to really get him going, instead of actually doing anything that has to do with what's in his heart or anything emotional, Which, like, yeah, and I don't think Denji, like, thinks about that, right? He's just like, oh, she's so pretty, right? Like, she's really good at this, right? Really, she knows exactly what to do to make him react like this, Because, again, it's like, I think the reason why he finds so much more meaning here than he did with Power is because with Power, that emotional connection he had with her got in the way of him being able to enjoy it. And here, he actually doesn't have an emotional connection with Makima, right? This is, like, a purely physical, like, sensual thing they're doing here, and that's it, right? So he doesn't have any, like, trepidation or anything like that. He views Makima purely in like this infatuated way, right? So of course he enjoys it like this. It's not something that's going to get in the way of any kind of relationship they have, kind of like it has with Denji and Power, you know what I mean? In like a small way, right? Again, I don't think Power gives a shit. It's just for Denji, right? Hmm. God, he is and he just kind of melts away. He doesn't he has never been in a situation like this, huh? That I mean, he literally has like the man, he freaks out. Like, just think about this from Makima's perspective. He falls to the ground and starts yelling and looking at his hand. Like, God. Man, Denji, I want to ask you to do something for me. And this is just a perfect encapsulation of their relationship, right? Just how, like, of course, she wants him to do something for her right after that, right? It's so effective. She knows exactly what to do, exactly how to control him. Hmm. I want you to defeat the Gun Devil. I wonder why the Gun Devil is the target. Is it just because it's such a big, like, fancy devil? Is it just because it's a big target and it would be, like, big news for it to be defeated? You know what I mean? Would it be some kind of evidence that Denji's like working out, whatever Makima, whatever the situation is with Denji and Power working under Makima, and whatever like whatever she's supposed to prove with them. I guess it would probably prove it if they can defeat the Gun Devil. It appeared 13 years ago in the US. We don't know where it is now. It's a very strong devil that any devil hunter would want to kill. That is an interesting way to say that any devil hunter would want to kill it. I don't know. It's like you can think of that from her perspective. Like maybe that's an answer to why it has to be the Gun Devil, right? To why she's bringing this up now. But it just feels like such a flat statement, right? Like want to kill it. Why? Other than just this hatred of devils, it doesn't seem like Makima. It doesn't seem like Makima's in that same group, right? It seems like she has bigger goals than that, right? And then also you could just imagine, like, for Denji's perspective, maybe he's thinking, like, oh, I'm a devil hunter, so I should want to kill it. That's it. I think that you can do it. You're different from any other devil hunter. Also, she does that, right? Kind of the same thing she did with, like, Hayakawa, right? Like, single Denji out, give him this attention that she knows he wants from her. If you manage to kill the Gun Devil, I'm going to fulfill one wish for you, whatever it may be. And of course, what Denji immediately thinks of is sex, which is interesting. I hope that doesn't happen. I can't imagine how horrible that would be if that actually happened. I think Denji would then be trapped forever by Makima, in a way, right? That would just be really sad, right? Because I think maybe Denji would enjoy it in the moment. Maybe he would think it was really something big if he actually got to do that. But I think just like what happened with Power in this episode, I think in the long run, it would not be something he actually would enjoy going through with. Because it would not be meaningful, and it would not be, you know, it's not what he truly wants, right? I guess that's just kind of it's just like the touching boobs thing. Like, this infatuation with Makima is very sexual, and it is very, like, he views her in that way, right? But I think the only reason he views her in that way is because he doesn't have a real emotional connection with her, where it becomes harder to do that, right? That's why with Power, it's different. And it's not like I'm saying that, like, Denji needs to get into, like, a romantic relationship with Power, right? Like, that doesn't need to happen at all. I kind of feel like Power, like, I just isn't like that, I feel like she just isn't a, like, someone who has that kind of desire. You know what I mean? She's the devil, right? For one thing. Who even knows, right? She's a fiend, I guess. I just think it's clear that his relationship with Power is much better, like, for him, and he will get more emotionally out of it than anything he's going to be doing with Makima. So, it's a devil that's so strong and evil that I'm okay with that. Years ago, people around the world tried to get rich by selling guns to fight devils, but that caused an increase in gun crime and uprisings. Of course, the media eagerly followed that kind of news, and people came to fear guns even more than before. Yeah, the gun devil has to be really powerful, right? Man. then there was a major act of terrorism involving guns in the US. It's like, this makes me think it's supposed to be like 9/11, but it isn't, right? I guess 9/11 didn't really involve guns, did it? So I guess it's not that. I I don't know. Although in this universe, is it even past the USSR still exists, so I don't know think 9/11 has even happened in this universe, right? I think, cell phones aren't around, right? So I mean, I think this is like the, I don't know, 80s, 90s, something like that, right? TVs are looking like that not that long ago, right? When Hayakawa was just, this might have been 7 years ago. Who knows how old Hayakawa is now or how old he was here? I don't know, right? Probably longer ago than that. But who knows? Who knows? Anyway, yeah, so we get a shot of Hayakawa's family. I mean, as he said, his whole family did get murdered by a devil. So, understandable, I guess, that he, like, again, I want to talk about Hayakawa's goal of revenge, because I think it is, it's very interesting considering, like, Denji's revelation about his wish and his goal in this episode, right? He had this idea that after his wish was not as fulfilling as he thought it would be when he achieved it, that like everything he did up to that moment was like useless, right? That his pursuit of that wish, all that time spent was just wasted because he didn't enjoy the end. For Hayakawa, I just can't help but feel like revenge always ends like that, right? Hayakawa won't actually get anything out of enacting this revenge, right? I guess you could say that because his goal of revenge could just be generalized to all devils everywhere, that he might just never be able to achieve it, right? That's just gonna leave a never-ending, like, dissatisfaction in him, right? But if his more specific goal is revenge on the Gun Devil, then let's say we kill the Gun Devil, I think he's gonna be in a similar spot that Denji was in this episode. I don't think revenge is ever going to be emotionally fulfilling in that way, right? I really just don't think it's gonna work out the way he wants it to. Because I guess for him, revenge isn't something that he thinks or that he wants to find some kind of emotional fulfillment in, really. I mean, obviously, no, maybe that's wrong. I guess it is, right? The reason why anyone wants to enact revenge is for, like, emotional reasons, right? It always comes down to that, right? If he didn't hate the Gun Devil after this somehow, he would have no reason to want to enact revenge, right? So it is an emotional reason. So he certainly does think he's going to get some kind of emotional payoff for enacting this revenge, right? I just don't think he will, right? I just don't think he will. And then it's just the question is, what is he gonna do after that? When he's been so critical of Denji for not having like a real meaningful goal in all of this. So what? Hayakawa fulfills his goal. What happens, right? When he is unsatisfied with it, if he thinks his goal was always meaningless as well. Hmm. So his brother is kind of like, I don't know, kind of sick. Yeah. He's always not doing too good. Unfortunately, he dies, so that's unlucky. We go outside. It's very white. It reminds me of like his apartment, right? Like out on the balcony, so white, so many white colors, right? Even his room he has no posters up, no anything. It's just entirely blank and white and empty, right? Um, and again, it's like I feel like that is a perfect representation of him having nothing to live for but revenge, right? Just like a blank slate. He really doesn't. It feels like he doesn't have anything in life, right? He fights against the idea of like forming this kind of deeper connection with like Denji and power, right? I guess using his revenge and hatred of devils as an excuse, but also just like in general, it just seems like he's like that. So yeah, just all this whiteness that surrounds him. Just blank nothingness. And he always had such an attitude like this. It's very interesting. I can't help but feel like probably his attitude towards his brother, like he had such a negative attitude. Who knows why? Is probably part of why he feels the emotional need to look for revenge so much. Because he probably regrets it so much that like his last moments with his brother were like this. Even I mean, they just kind of start playing a snowball fight with each other, but still. Him never being able to form like what seems like a meaningful connection with him, and then him dying in front of his eyes, like, yeah. And it's interesting, right? How in this shot, it's like as they start playing this fun snowball game, we get some color. We get these flowers, yellow flowers, something standing out from the blank whiteness. Hmm. Man. And unfortunately, uh, this happens. So, yeah. Let me play this like frame by frame. Do we see anything here? Or is it just a blob of motion? It's just wind. It's not even, yeah, no, I mean, yeah, no, like, Jesus, man. In just under 5 minutes, it killed 1.2 million people. Like, imagine if that happened in real life. Like, what would we do as a society if 1.2 million people died instantly to the gun devil? Like, just unimaginable, you know? Like, it's hard to believe that even in the face of this kind of existential threat to humanity, that like there's still like infighting between countries, right? Like the all that stuff about the USSR using devils and Japan wanting to use devils and all this stuff. It's like they still have like these rivalries with each other. There still seems to be warfare and all of that. Despite there being this crazy existential threat. It's like it's always the idea that if humanity was faced with this kind of thing, everyone would unite together, and yet it doesn't happen. And I guess it's just like this in real life too, because the devils are nothing but representative of the fears that people have of these things in real life, right? The gun devil doesn't exist, but guns exist, right? All of these things that the devils are representative of and are killing people, those things exist in real life too, and it's not like we all unite in the face of those now. So, yeah, yeah. And no one has seen it since. Man, after that, people came to fear devils more than before, making them all the more stronger. Absolutely. Absolutely. In an attempt to weaken the gun devil, gun possession laws were made stricter worldwide to try and, make people less afraid of guns, right? And media coverage of incidents and disasters was restricted. We do that like in real life too. Not with this kind of thing explicitly, but like with, like manifestos and stuff, that kind of thing. We don't really like publish them, or like even like someone's like name and information about them. We don't focus on the perpetrator of an attack, because that just inspires like more, Same kind of idea, same kind of idea. You think you can defeat it? Well, maybe. Our first step is to find the Gun Devil. And so there's pieces of the Gun Devil's flesh, which are like bullets, right? I don't really like. I guess the Gun Devil is just made of a bunch of bullets, which I guess that makes sense. I mean, it itself is like a bullet, right? Which makes sense because people aren't really afraid of guns; they're afraid of the bullet that comes out of the gun, right? So of course, I guess the devil itself would be that. Any other devil that eats these gains a fraction of the gun devil's power. I wonder what would happen if Denji ate one, huh? So these pieces, they try and stick together, and yeah, they try and get back to the original body. They try and make the lump bigger. Yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Here's Hayakawa and Himiko. They killed a weird fish devil thing. Like, what do you think this thing is? It has legs? Like, what is it? Is it the fish devil? I guess? Maybe it's more specific than that, right? Hmm. And it had eaten a piece of the gun devil, of course. Did it find it, or did somebody feed that to it? And that is very interesting. Who would be feeding parts of the gun devil to devils, right? I don't know. I don't know. Kill all devils. In that way, we'll find it. Yeah. The Bureau received an extermination request. The devil resided inside the hotel. So we have arrived. We have arrived at the hotel, which it seems like we might be in for a while. Got a piece of the gun devil. It, like, floats towards the other parts of it, right? We got some people. So we have Power, Denji, Hayakawa, Himino. I forgot their names. Arai was his name, I think. What was her name? Kobeni, I think, or was it Kobemi? Is it Kobeni? I don't remember. We'll see it when we get there. Somewhere in the hotel, Hotel Morin. That is an interesting name. God, Denji's attitude. Sniffy, like the way that Denji says this line is just so. It has to be so infuriating from Hayakawa's perspective. Denji does not do himself any favors making other people view him in a more respectable way. You know what I mean? Like, come on. I love them together though. Power and Denji, they're great. Hayakawa's really got them all figured out though. I like how Denji just carries around an axe like this just all the time. Can we really put our faith in these two? I mean, like, sure, I'm sure we can, right? We can trust them. We can trust them. They can trust each other. Come on, that's all that matters. In combat, we make them go first. Yeah, sure, sure. So, like, I mean, like, that makes sense. That unironically makes sense if they really worry about them, like, defecting, you know. Sure, I get it, you know. You two have no human rights. What a thing to say, huh? That was no prank. Hmm. So Himino has a proposition for us. They get a kiss on the cheek, which is apparently a very big deal. Like, Arai here really freaks out. An unmarried maiden doing something so obscene. Right, of course, naturally. That would be insane. So Denji is really like motivated by that for a moment. He really thinks that's big, but then he thinks back to Makima, right? You have to wonder if this is part of Makima's goal, right? Is to make him always think of like her in this kind of situation, you know? To like really focus Denji's everything on her, right? I really think it is. She uses it very, very knowingly, you know? So then Denji, yeah, he's way too cool for that, right? Way too awesome. Hmm. Lewd stuff feels better when it's between people who understand each other. And I agree. The problem, Denji, is you don't understand Makima at all, right? And it's deeper than that, right? There's a deeper reason why between you and Power it was like different, right? It doesn't mean you don't understand each other. I think you two understand each other more than anyone. I think Denji probably understands Power more than anyone, and Power probably understands Denji more than anyone other than like Pochita, right? So I don't know. I think we're missing some pieces there, right? Hmm. You kill this devil, I'll give you a kiss with tongue. And he's really, man, he's really excited. Man, that got him going, I guess. That's still far enough for him to, you know, for him to freak out. Of course. I you know, with okay. So Himino is very interesting. She we get this backstory about her, like kind of, only vaguely. We know she has faced a bunch of loss, and her attitude towards it is interesting. She worried when she first met Hayakawa that he was just gonna die too, and that it was gonna be like you know, that just like all of her other buddies, he was gonna die and leave her behind, and all of this, right? She's faced a lot of loss in that way. Same as Hayakawa has, right? They're similar in that sense, right? Um, she has a contract with the Ghost Devil, which is very interesting. I can't help but imagine there feels like there has to be some kind of connection there, right? That she has faced so much loss, and that the contract she has with the devil is the Ghost Devil, right? Um, I don't really know enough about her yet to say anything more than that. I just know, you know, ghosts, you know, like I generally ghosts are like, you know, dead people or like formed by the regrets of dead people if we want to go like deeper, like more specific lore maybe, right? So her having faced so much loss, and it seems like her attitude about that being having changed over time. She has this contract with the Ghost Devil. I don't know. It's interesting. It's certainly interesting. Kobeni-chan, that Kobeni. Okay. Kobeni, Arai. Yeah. Very introverted, but quite capable. I guess I'll believe you if you say she's capable. She just seems so shy and so scared that she needs the confidence to, like, do stuff, I suppose. Aki-kun, do you think these four can survive? No matter what, no matter whether I think they're strong or not, within a year, everyone either dies or goes private. That doesn't answer my question, though. It sure doesn't, right? I think they have a different attitude about death. She lets herself be affected by it in a way that I feel like Hayakawa doesn't. You know, Hayakawa distances himself from all this stuff so much. She herself, like, directly asks, being like, oh, do you think they're gonna die? Right? And Hayakawa kind of avoiding the question, just being like, oh, everyone dies, you know? I think that really shows the difference in the way that they tackle that kind of thing, you know? And I guess it makes sense that Hayakawa would be avoidant about it, probably. Because in his quest for revenge, his quest for revenge, in a sense, you can't help but wonder if it is in some way, like, almost prolonging him having to accept his family's death, Like, because if it's like if he gets revenge, then in some way it's like he like makes up for that. It's like they're not truly gone in a sense until he has gotten revenge, and it's like this finality to it. You know what I mean? Um, for her, I just wonder, right? Like we get these shots of her in the cemetery, looking at a grave, all of this. She seems very very sad in that moment. She's faced a lot of loss too. I just think she has a different attitude about it, right? She genuinely wants to think about and entertain the idea of their deaths. You know what I mean? Hmm. Don't go dying on me. Yeah, like the fact that she's willing to say that. At first, I thought we were back in time again to like right after the Gun Devil killed everyone, because like, what the hell, how many deaths this is. But no, I think this is just right after something happened with her and her last partner and they died, right? And she gets assigned a new one by this guy. Never seen him before. He had a very unique voice. But he's apparently someone high up in the organization, I assume. And so it's interesting. In this moment, she has the eye patch, right? She has the eye injury right now. She says in this episode later that the eye was given to the Ghost Devil for the contract, right? But I don't know, that's kind of weird timing, right? For her to be so injured right now, and it seems like this is right after her partner died, so it's like they were in a fight. I assume that's where she got the other injuries from. But she also has the eye thing, like, right now. Like, it seems like it's, like, fresh, right? I don't know. It makes you wonder about the timing of the Ghost Devil contract, if there's something there. He's lacking in manners. Funny, right? Because he was the one telling Denji and Power to get manners. But I've raised him to be of some use. Get along. What's up, Hayakawa? Aki. Nice to meet you. Can you be useful? I don't know. Maybe. You'll be my sixth partner. The previous 5 are dead. They died because they were weak and useless. Don't go dying on me. Yeah, it's like that. You imagine that's like some pressure on him, right? This idea that his death would mean he's weak and useless. I mean, more so, obviously, if he died without fulfilling his revenge, I think he would be very upset, right? But, you know. So we walk through the hallways trying to find the devil. This weird head guy walks out. I like what kind of thing is this? Is this even a devil, or is this some kind of like spawn of a devil or something? You know what I mean? Like what am I looking at? You know? It's really something. It's really something. He froze midair in terror of power. How crazy, how insane. But no, she has the craziest contract ever with the Ghost Devil that gives her like effectively telekinesis because she could just control it. Yeah. Invisible and strong. It's very convenient. It's really giving me vibes that there's some kind of deeper thematic meaning to like these attributes of it being invisible. But well, just I gotta learn more about her to really say. I feel like, hmm, that was not the one we were looking for. So we go up. Power decides to test Himino. It really doesn't go well. she gets owned. So unlucky, I guess. And we realize that we're kind of looping, unfortunately. We are stuck on the 8th floor. What devil would do that, right? Is it the hotel devil? Is it the, like, I guess it could be anything. I don't know. Oh, God. Then Kobeni really doesn't like that, huh? And the ending. Yet again, another good one. I would have to watch them all again to really decide my ranking of all the endings. They've all been so good. I can't believe how much work they had to put into all these endings. Like, God, they're all really something special, aren't they? There's some very like thematic lyrics, and I also just wonder if the situation they're in now, this being trapped and looping thing, if that is going to be thematically relevant to like Denji's situation, right? This idea of like looping and being trapped, right? Because it's almost like in a way Denji is kind of working his way into Makima's web, and the idea of him looping is interesting just because it's like he had the opportunity to have a more meaningful emotional revelation after what happened with Power, but instead he's kind of just returned to the same spot because of the way Makima handled that, you know. So I don't know. I don't know. I'm very curious to see where that goes. A really good episode, as always. God, this show has been so good. Um, so yeah, I guess that's it. So please, if you enjoy my videos, do subscribe, leave a comment, tell me what you think, and I will see you in the next one.